you've just been in a car wreck. The next day, the day after, insurance adjuster calls you and they say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I just need you to take a recorded statement real quick. Just super fast, no big deal. I just want to talk to you and record the conversation so that we can evaluate your claim. What do you do with that? I'm Shane McGuire. I'm a personal injury lawyer here in Texas. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to avoid the recorded statement trap, because it is a trap. Every time they try to do it, they are trying to entrap you into saying something that will devalue your claim and save that insurance company some money. I want you to think about the state you're in when that insurance adjuster calls you. Let's say it's 24, 48 hours after a wreck. And when they call you, you're sore. You're kind of in a daze about what's happened. You were in a serious collision. You don't remember every little detail of it. You just remember somebody hit you and you weren't expecting it. Your car's totaled. You have no way to get to and from work. You feel like there's this pressure to respond to this adjuster so that they can pay for your property damage claim. But the big reason that adjuster is calling you is not so much the property damage claim. They're calling you to entrap you about the bodily injury claim. And so I'm going to show you how to avoid that trap. So a recorded statement, think about this. It doesn't disappear. They've recorded it. They upload it to whatever insurance company cloud that they have, and they keep that thing forever, always there to use against you later. And hey, it's an insurance company. They ain't got to read you Miranda rights or anything. They don't have to say everything you say can and will be used against you later. Oh, but believe me, it will. That's exactly why they're doing it. So there's three reasons they're trying to do this. One, they're trying to shift the blame to you. Think about kind of how we colloquially talk to people after a wreck or really just about anything. So some guy sideswipes you, some guy changes lanes into you, some guy just rear ends you. How do you describe it? He came out of nowhere. I didn't see him. I'm not positive how fast I was going. Man, I might have been going 4 or 5 miles over the speed limit, but he must have been flying. What are they locking in on at the insurance company? Didn't see him. Well, you know, on the back end, some insurance company, some insurance lawyer is going to use that and say, well, ma'am, you know you're supposed to keep an assured clear distance behind somebody, correct? Ma'am, you know you're supposed to make sure that you have your eyes on the roadway in front of you and in your mirrors and to either side. You know that, don't you? And so if you didn't see somebody who was coming up beside you, then you failed in your duty to keep an eye out for other drivers. Saying something to an insurance company on the front end gives ammo to a lawyer on the back end for the insurance company to then sling at you to try to shift blame away from their insured and towards you. Why? So they can save money. The second thing that insurance company is going to try to do with that recorded statement, the second reason they want to take it, they're trying to downplay your injuries. And you're nice, you're from Texas, so you're kind of tough, or you want to act like it. Or maybe you just don't want to, you're not sure how hurt you are. You don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, and you're hoping it's just a molehill. You're hoping that you're not really hurt too bad. You're hoping you're just sore. And every other time in life, you've gotten over an injury pretty quick. You don't see why this should be any different, but man, you're a day or two after the wreck, and they're talking to you. And how do you feel? What do you say? I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm just a little sore. You know, I think it's going to be okay. I really think I'm going to be able to get over it in a couple weeks. Whatever. You downplay it. Why? You don't want to seem like a whiner. You're not a whiner. You don't want to, in that moment, act like you're trying to bilk the insurance company for something you don't deserve, because that's not how you're wired, and that's not what we do. That's not what I do. I'm just trying to get you the compensation you deserve for your injuries from the wreck. And in that moment, what you're trying to do is just kind of get through the conversation and be a nice person with a stranger who's on the phone who you're trying to have a good relationship with. But from their perspective, they're trained to express empathy to you so that you'll give away the store and act like you're not hurt. So on the back end, if it turns out you've got a herniated disc or a torn labrum or something like that that's causing you real significant injury down the road as a result of this wreck, they can look back on this phone conversation and say, man, you said you were fine. You said you weren't hurting. You said you were just a little sore. You said you were going to get over it in a couple of weeks. What changed your opinion? Nothing changed your opinion. You just didn't realize how hurt you were. but they are going to use that against you later, and they're not going to put it in context for you. And here's the other dirty little secret. When you sue the at-fault driver, that insurance company hires a lawyer to defend him. But if you go and try that case in front of a jury, the jury isn't told that there's insurance. They just see that there's a recorded statement. They're not told it's some insurance company that did it. They're not told it's the at-fault driver's insurance company that did it. For all the jury knows, it's just some investigator who took that statement, or it's your own insurance company who took that statement. They're just not told the context of it. Rather, it's just used to impeach you at trial. Here's the third trap. They're trying to get you to commit to details that you don't really know. Think about this. I never let my clients, when they're giving a deposition, estimate distance or speed. I'm going to tell you why. Think about driving down the highway. You know those stripes that you pass every day on the highway? If you're on 635 in Dallas or 210 in San Antonio or whatever, or just on 69 in Tyler, you're driving down the highway and you see those white dashes. How long do you think those are? If you ask most people, they'll think they're like 3 feet long, 4 feet long. Those stripes, depending on the road you're on, are 10 to 14 feet long each. Can you believe that? And you have no idea. You've driven past those things 1,000 times and have no idea how long they are. How can you expect somebody going 70 miles an hour in a car wreck to know the distance between themselves and the guy that pulled out in front of them if you don't even know the distance of the stripes that you've been passing every day your whole life? How are you going to know the speed the guy was going that hit you from the side? How are you going to know how many car lengths back you were from the car in front of you when you got rear-ended and pushed into the car in front of you? You have no idea. Now, what happens is people will naturally want to give, truthful answers or give an estimate to a question they're asked. So if I ask you, hey, how fast were you going at the time of the wreck? If you don't know, your answer might be, I don't know, but I think it was about. As a lawyer, my advice to you is if the first part of that answer is I don't know, then that's the whole answer. I don't know. You know you weren't going 100. You know you weren't going 20. But what they're talking about is this narrow range. And from the insurance company perspective and defending the claim, there might be a big difference between 55 and 65. And you don't know how fast you were going exactly unless you had it on cruise control. And you sure don't know how fast the other driver was going. And you certainly don't know how many feet away from you he was when he pulled out. You may have landmarks, you can describe that, but do not estimate speed or distance. Don't estimate how many days you were sore. Because when they take that recorded statement, let's say it's a week or two after the wreck, and you've been to the doctor several times, they've documented your pain complaints. And so on that recorded statement, they may say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad were you hurting? You gave an answer to that question 3 days earlier to your doctor. You don't remember what answer you gave the doctor in that moment, probably. Tell the insurance adjuster, hey, listen, it's in my medical records, okay? I told the doctor that at the time. It's in there. I just don't feel comfortable giving an estimate. But the reason they're trying to get you to commit to these things, to commit to time, speed, distance, stuff like that, they're going to go use it against you later because while you're basing it on memory of a quick moment, they're pulling up Google Earth. They're sending an accident reconstruction expert to the scene if it's an 18-wheeler wreck, and they're going to have math. They're going to have real measurements, real results, and what you've got is a blurry memory from a quick moment that was traumatic. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of this. I represented this guy as a welder, and tough guy, tough as nails, and he's in this wreck. It's a commercial vehicle wreck. It's an 18-wheeler that hits him, and he's hurt, but he's a tough guy. He's a blue-collar worker. There's people who in their job take a shower at the beginning of the day, and there's guys that take a shower at the end of the day, okay? And he's a shower at the end of the day kind of guy. He gets up, goes to work, hot and sweaty, striking an arc, as they say, being a welder. And he's a hardworking guy. He's tough. He's worked through a lot of aches and pains over the years. He's in this wreck, and it's a real significant wreck. And he tells the recorded statement adjuster, yeah, I'm a little sore, but I think I'm okay to go back to work. And then he goes back to work. And he realizes when he starts using those muscles and trying to stand for 8, 10, 12 hours in a day that he can't do it. He's hurt way worse than what he thought he was. And he comes to see me, and we help him get into treatment. He ends up getting a shoulder surgery. And like I said, it turns out he was hurt worse than he really thought he was. On the back end, we file suit on that case, and he's having his deposition taken. And the insurance defense lawyer for that 18-wheeler company comes out, and he's got this transcript. Of course, we had it, and I prepped my client on how to answer these questions. But we've got to deal with it because he's got this transcript where my client has told some insurance adjuster, hey, I think I'm going to be good. I think I'm going to be fine. I'm just a little sore. I'm telling you, in that moment, a few days after a wreck, you really don't know how hurt you are. You got to give it a month. You got to give it 6 or 8 weeks to get back into your routine, especially if you have a physically demanding job or if you have little kids who you're wrestling with and playing with a bunch and carting around all over the place. And you don't realize until you're at Little League practice and you can't throw a baseball with the same velocity that you used to, that, man, my shoulder really is hurting. It's just not getting better. You have to live life a little bit before you have a full understanding of the nature and extent of the injuries you have, especially in a big truck wreck. So my advice to you as a personal injury lawyer, I mean, this is all I do all day, every day. My advice to you, if you've been in a car or truck wreck, do not, under any circumstance, give a recorded statement. Don't do it. Do not do it. There's nothing good that can come of it for you. It is only generating risk for you that the insurance company is going to use against you later. So do not give a recorded statement. Now, I know who I'm talking to. I know I'm talking to people who are sitting at home. You're like, I just clicked on this because I'm going to give a recorded statement and I want to avoid the traps of the recorded statement. But I'm telling you, the recorded statement itself is a trap. Don't fall into it. But if you're going to do it, don't do it. But if you're going to do it, at least try to do this first. Call them up and say, can you give me the questions in writing so I can look at it and then just give you a written response? Now, this is going to be telling because if all they're looking for is really the answers to the questions, then they really shouldn't have a problem showing you the questions ahead of time, should they? They shouldn't have a problem showing you ahead of time so you can actually give a thoughtful answer. But they don't want a thoughtful answer. They want to catch you off guard. They want an off-the-cuff answer where you kind of just in a conversation with somebody, you're trying to give the answer that the listener wants, which is very common psychologically with people. That's what they're going for. So one way to militate against that is to ask them to send the questions in writing so you can have a real understanding of the flow of those questions and the types of answers that you need to give. Okay, so I've told you not to do it. I've told you if you're going to do it, get them in writing, but they're not going to give it to you in writing most likely. And so you're watching this video and you've decided, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm trusting you to tell me how to avoid the trap, but I don't trust you quite enough to just not do the recorded statement anyway. So first thing, and man, other than just don't give the recorded statement, this is the best advice I can give you. The first rule to avoid the entrapment is don't guess. If the answer can in any way be, I don't remember, or I don't know for certain, that's the answer. Speed, I'm not positive. Distance, I'm not positive. What color car, if you're not positive. Who was driving, if you're not for sure, you're not for sure. There's a police officer who worked the wreck. They've got it in their crash report. You told the officer at the scene what you remembered. Usually what that insurance company's doing is they're going to get the crash report. That crash report's going to be adverse to their insured. They're hoping that they can get some information from you, the injured party, who's sitting there on the phone with no car because it's been totaled and in pain, and they're trying to use you to try to give them a reason to go against the crash report and pay you less money. So my first advice to you is don't guess ever. All right, rule number 2, don't use I'm fine type language. We all do it, even when we're not. Like if you go to church on Sunday and ask somebody how they're doing, they're going to say they're doing fine. They may be going through a divorce. Their kids may have been taken away. They may have gotten a cancer diagnosis. And people will just naturally and reflexively say, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. And that's even more true when you're talking about like a physical ailment. I mean, I've known people with broken bones and you ask them, how are you feeling today? And like, I'm feeling fine. And they say that because they don't want to come off as a whiner and a complainer. But in a recorded statement, there's not like a value judgment on are you whining. They're asking whether you're injured so that they can put a value on the claim. And if you want to be compensated for your injury, you sure as heck better not be telling the person in charge of the checkbook that you're fine, because they're going to document that you're fine and count you as worth 0 on the bodily injury claim. Rule number 3, keep it short. Let me tell you something. These guys ask you a question, were you injured? The answer is yes. That's it. Don't go describing all of the injuries. They're in your medical records. You told your doctors about the injuries. The doctors you went to see after the wreck took a history. They did a physical examination. They did objective studies with X-ray, CT scan, MRI. Diagnosis and treatment plan will be there. Were you injured? The answer is yes. Whose fault was the wreck? The other guy. Whoever worked the wreck, Harris County Sheriff's Department. Whoever worked the wreck, worked the wreck. Don't go like this. Were you injured in the wreck? Well, I think my back is a little sore. That's not the answer. The answer to the question is yes. If you are asked whose fault was the wreck, don't go, well, it happened so fast. No, the answer is if it was the other guy's fault, the answer is it's the other guy's fault. Keep it short. This is not your time to tell your whole story. They don't care about your whole story. Anything you say after the simple, responsive answer is just going to be used against you. Rule number 4, don't give an opinion as to fault. Just describe what happened. When you look at a crash report, a wreck is a really dynamic thing, okay? If you're just driving down the road and somebody rear ends you, or you're at a stoplight and somebody rear ends you, okay, it's obviously that person's fault. But I've got a case right now where there's a tractor trailer that's on the side of the road, but he's not pulled over all the way on the shoulder on the highway. He had a tire blowout, and he pulls over to the side, and he's still in the outside lane. My client moves over to the inside lane. Everybody's able to avoid this particular 18-wheeler on the right, and my client gets rear-ended by another 18-wheeler coming up behind her. Now, who's at fault? The crash report says it's the 18-wheeler who rear-ended her. And the lion's share of the fault does go with that 18-wheeler. But the whole series of events starts with another 18-wheeler who doesn't pull over to the side of the road all the way. So they create a hazard that then everybody else has to respond to, and then somebody else also commits a negligent act. A wreck can be the cause of more than one person's negligence. Just know that. And so if you're in a real dynamic situation like that, where it's a little more complicated than just I'm at the stop sign or the red light and I get rear-ended, just describe what happened. Don't start saying this person's 80%, this person's 50%, whatever. You don't know what all was going on in the cab of either 18-wheeler. You have no idea. You have no idea if one 18-wheeler company was just completely negligent in the training of their driver, that some additional percentage of negligence should go on them. Don't offer an opinion about any of that. Just describe what happened and move on. Okay, rule number 5, if they ask you about prior injuries, you can't lie. There's nothing will burn you in life in general, but in an insurance claim in particular, nothing will burn you on the back end more than lying to somebody. If they ask you, have you ever injured your back before? And you have, and you've gotten over it, and you remember the injury, the answer is yes, I have. They're going to say, when? 10 years ago. What were you doing? I was lifting something. Did you treat for that? I went to the chiropractor. Well, did you still have issues with it? No. There. Boom. You've been honest about it, and you move on. If you lie about it, on the back end, some lawyer is going to order your medical records, and they're going to have that statement, and they're going to throw it in your face, and they're going to try to paint you as a liar to a jury. And I'm going to tell you something. A jury will punish a liar more than they will punish a negligent driver every single time. The worst thing you can do on these phone calls is lie to them. It is better to just hang up if you're nervous about it. If you're like, oh, you're frazzled or whatever, just hang up the phone. Ain't nothing bad going to happen to you. I told you don't give a recorded statement anyway. You don't have to do it. Hang up the phone and call me. We'll address it from there. But whatever you do, do not lie to them. All right, the 6th rule is know that you have the power to stop the recorded statement at any time. So if you feel confused, if you feel pressured, if you feel uncomfortable, just tell them, hey, I've got to stop. I've got to go do something else, whatever. But you need to take a break from that recorded statement and just reset. Call me, call whoever, but stop. If you feel pressured, like I said, if you feel uncomfortable, if they're confusing you in some way, ain't nothing going to stop you from hanging up that phone. They can't like reach through the interwebs and stop you from hanging up on them. Just hang up. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You got to call them back? No, don't worry about it. They can't make you stay on that phone. If they're pressuring you in some way or trying to move you into saying something that's just not so, or accept blame when you don't deserve any blame, you hang up that phone. Tell them, hey, I've got to go. We'll reschedule this and just move on. So what happens though if you follow my core advice of not giving a recorded statement? Well, nothing. They can't force you to do it. What they will do though, initially, is they'll say, well, we really need it to evaluate your claim, and they'll try to put pressure on you. But in the meantime, let me tell you something. Your claim ain't ready to be settled until you're cycled through your medical treatment anyway. So if when they're trying to call you, you're still hurting in any way, shape, or form, if you're still having to miss work, if you're still physically impaired and can't lift, can't move, can't bend the way you ought to be able to do, if you still need an MRI, an X-ray, if you're getting pain management, if you've got a surgical recommendation as a result of the wreck, you're not going to be in the business of resolving that claim yet anyway, because you've got to cycle through your medical treatment. We need to know your path of treatment before we're even close to ready to talking about a settlement negotiation. So that insurance adjuster, if you don't give a recorded statement, they're going to try to pressure you and say, I can't evaluate your claim until you do so. Well, you need to know that your claim ain't ready to be evaluated yet anyway. You've got to get through your medical treatment first. So if you don't give a recorded statement, if you refuse to do it, yeah, they're going to try to pressure you and say, hey, listen, we need it in order to evaluate the claim. But I mean, let me tell you something. I've been doing this a long time. I've never let one of my clients give a recorded statement, and we've been able to resolve or try all those cases. 95% of my cases get settled without having to go to trial. It's fine. They don't need that recorded statement. If they want it that bad, when I sue them, their lawyer can ask questions at that time, and I will have set you down for a couple of hours and prepared you on how to answer those questions, and I'll be sitting right there beside you when those questions get asked. So if an adjuster asks you to give a recorded statement, don't do it. If you're going to do it, if you're not going to heed my advice, follow the tips I gave you. Don't fall into the recorded statement trap. And for more advice on how to maximize the value of your personal injury claim, follow us at McGuire Firm.